gas. Rally Radio, where the fast life meets the fast lane.
Yeah.
You're now tuned into Bars and Hoops Radio. Where the world of hip-hop and sports live.
Dropping the clutch and then I hit the gas. Wheels screeching, tires burning, I'm flying past. Gotta get home quick, don't wanna miss the class. They schooling you on whips and how to make them fast. Talking about everything from cars to planes. What's hot, what's next, and how to flip the game. They talk in my language, we speak the same. That whip talk complex, but yet they keep it plain. From the news, the interviews, they keep it cool. They give reviews, everything from parts to tools. Can't lose, come to whips, they not no fools. Don't miss the show, the start time is noon. The bearded one, S.I Shawn, ain't crazy though. You can't miss it, tune in to Rally Radio.
Where the fast life meets the fast lane.
Whoop, 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 whoop. We are in the building. Well, I'm in the building today. It's going to be a crazy one today. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention, rocking with us early, man. It's Rally Radio. You know how we get down. And I know when y'all heard about the topic that we talking about, I know the first show y'all thought about is Rally Radio, because y'all know we going in. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention early, man. We rocking with y'all. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Don't forget, drop your name, drop where you are so we could shout you out. But we going in early today. Shout out to everybody who's rocking with us. First stop to the next stop. Shout out to my guy Dave on the check-in. Shout out to my guy Aaron Roy. He's in the building too. Let's go. Sly Fox is in the building. Y'all know we going in today. EVs freezing up in Chicago. Are we shocked? Really? Like, are we shocked? Do we really think that it can't happen? It's happening out there. Shout out to my guy, Sean Parker. Was popping. Shout out to everybody who's rocking with us, who's tuning in with us early. We appreciate it. S.I Shawn couldn't be in the building today, but I am here. The bearded one is in the building. Can't be cold when you have gin in the system. Well, I'll tell you what, if you could put gin in the system of some of these EVs, they might be all right. But they can't. Ain't freezing up. Shout out to my guy, Keith. Shout out to Keith in the building. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. Shout out to my guy, Keith. Yo, for those that are not part of the group, or if you are part of the group, I know you've seen the cover photo. Shout to Keith. Aerial photography, man, was tremendous, by the way. Shout to Jessica Grandy. I see you tuned in early. What's going on? How you? Sean Parker's ass a lot. Let me tell you, if I got to be stuck in the freezing cold with a car and it can produce gin, won't be so bad. But if it can, we got a problem. We got a real problem. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in. Don't forget, drop a like wherever you're from. I know y'all see the title at the bottom. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube at Gutterball Rally. We are in the building. We are tuned in early. You already know what it is, and we are going in. Shout out to everybody who rocked with us. You know, I had a different show set up for y'all today, but y'all know the weather changes everything. Literally. And we got some things to say, because not for nothing, we haven't seen a freeze like this in about 5 years, right? We haven't even seen snow in 2 years in New York City. So this is definitely interesting. But at the same time, we're talking about right now is brick. It's brick outside. But in Chicago, it was -1, and it felt like -24. Yes. So at that point, you figure a lot of car batteries and things will start dying. And you know, I had this debate. Somebody DM me because they seen the reel. I don't know if y'all seen the reel, but check it out. Drop a like on it if you can. Drop a share. So they seen the reel, and you know, they hit me back. Oh, well, you know, any car would die in this freezing cold. I'm like, you know what? You could be right, right? But at the same time, there's so many fixes for if your car battery goes. You could go get another one. You could have a charge pack, charge your battery up, and you right back on your way. But with them EVs, you stranded. And that's really the bottom line of it. You're stranded. And it's like they still trying to sell you these things, man. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. I know y'all seen it. And if you haven't, we may have a little bit of audio for you guys, because to me, this is interesting, man. This is one of the, shout out to my guy, Militime NYC. He's in the building. Sean Parker's in the building. Jessica Grandy's in the building. First stop to the next stop's in the building. Sly Fox is in the building. Let's go. Let's go. Aaron Roy, he's in the building. Shout Shout out to Keith Franklin. He's in the building as well. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Don't forget, drop a like, drop a share if you can. And we going into them. So before we even get into all of that, I kind of wanted to discuss the week in general. We all know it's been freezing cold out there. This weather has definitely showed us what it could be like if you live in Antarctica. And we talking about the temperatures have been frigid in places where it's not normally cold. I believe Louisiana saw snow. Wow, that's actually interesting. But now it brings you back to what I was saying earlier. Do you think that these cars are what you need if you have that kind of situation going on? If you live in Minnesota, if you live in Chicago, how would you feel to come out and your car can't start? That's a problem. And we're going to get into it a little bit. We're going to jump right into it, as a matter of fact. As freezing temperatures and bitter cold hit millions of Americans, Tesla owners in the Chicago area are struggling to charge their electric vehicles, in some cases leaving them stranded. Some Tesla owners were stranded Monday in Evergreen Park, Illinois, in Chicago, with dead batteries and not enough working charging stations. A Tesla owner told a local station in Chicago that he saw at least 10 cars get towed, running out of batteries and dying. It's crazy. Shout to Park. He said, my bikes didn't start. I can't front. Mine neither. But at the end of the day, it's a good thing you ain't looking at riding in the wintertime. Or at least I hope not. I don't know. Park could get out there in the streets. But I will say, this to me is one of those kind of things you got to say to yourself, listen, they talking about, oh, it'll never be that cold. It'll never be that cold. Well, there you go. It was that cold. And how did they fare? And this is another black eye for them, in my opinion. On top of the fact that some of the superchargers wasn't working. That's a whole nother ball game. We're going to get into it a lot more going into the show, but I want to shout out everybody who's rocking with us. I shout to my guy Larry McBride. He said would never buy an EV. That's what I'm talking about. What do I want with these things? If you can't listen, everybody loves the feeling of coming out of work, coming out wherever you coming from home, going somewhere, and you start your car up and it actually starts and drives. Right or wrong? To me, there's nothing worse of a feeling when the weather's horrible. You go get in your car and it don't go nowhere. It don't start. Because now you pissed off. You're like, yo, who do I have to blame for this? And sometimes if you have a regular gas-powered car, you have yourself to blame. Let's say there's no gas. It was giving you signals that the battery was dying. You didn't pay it no mind. Or maybe the car's junked out. You know how it go. But when we talking about an EV with just one little electrical motor and a big old battery, there's only one person to blame in that situation, and that's the car. So you got to say to yourself, like, why do I really want these things? And when you look at some of these people in Chicago that are talking about it, it's like I look at them and I go, you know, these are the things that they tried to warn y'all about. You know, we tried to warn them about. And it's like they didn't want to hear it. Now I'm getting these DMs from that reel that I did. And I mean, I'm getting like threats. Well, I'll tell you what, I drive my EV through your house. Yo, hilarious. I be sitting there, I'm like, oh, they really mad. They really, really mad out there over these EVs. Shout to my guy Kirk. Coach Kirk, what it is? What's going on? And I can't say it to myself enough. I'm like, yeah, these guys are really, really supporting this thing. But they horrible. Listen, we're not making this up, and I've been saying it for a long time. We've been saying it here at Rally Radio for a long time that these cars could go. They could go. But they want to force you to have them. And we talk about the city's infrastructure. There was an article that came out. They said, listen, if you have an electric vehicle and you see bad weather coming your way, he said, if bad weather's coming your way, you got to prepare yourself. You got to put your car in the garage and charge it. You got to make sure you have a heater. And who's doing all of that? Shout to my guy, Kurt. Yo, shout up. Draco's in the building. Shout to my guy, Draco. He's in the building. Shout to Coach Kirk. He's in the building. Shout to my guy, Larry McBride. He's in the building. I'm going to tell you, who's doing that? Who's doing all of that when it comes down to messing with your car? Who? You really going to be, listen, I can understand if the car was a classic and you sitting the car up and, you know, you may not go out there and start it every now and again, but, you know, you get out there, the battery's dead. But at the end of the day, it's a classic. It's not something you drive every day. We talking about I just drove it into the garage and now it won't start. Come on, who's doing that? This is what I'm saying. What's going on? My guy Daryl's in the building. What's good, Daryl? Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. Then now we get down. We here early, man. And we talking about it, man. Shout out to my guy Seneca. He's in the building. Everybody's tuned in early. See, now exactly what, shout to McBride. Shout to my guy Larry. He said battery tender. Now this is what we use for motorcycles and historic cars because we don't drive them every day. We put them on battery tenders and we leave them. Now the thing is, you could leave your EV on the charger and they're not charging. You know why? We're going to get into a little bit of science today. We're going to get into a little bit of science before we move on with our next topics. So what happens is the battery of an EV, not necessarily the battery that runs all the small little functions in the car, because there are two separate batteries. You have a battery that runs all the smaller functions like your headlights, things like that. And then you have the battery that powers the car. Now that battery that powers the car the temperature has to be a certain range in order for it to accept a charge. So let's say you went to your house last night, maybe 6 o'clock, it started snowing, temperatures dropped frigid. Next thing you know, you try to go for that car 7 in the morning because it was outside in the cold. That battery's temperature has dropped to a certain degree where it will not accept a charge. People have been known to leave these things on a supercharger for 6 hours and it said 0%. People leaving their cars. That's what they got to do, man. Shout out to my guy Draco. He said he's from the Temptation Resort in Cancun, Mexico. Dudes is living a different life. I don't know. I'm doing the wrong thing in life. I see y'all, man. Y'all out there killing it. But you gotta say to yourself at this point, right? What's the point of these cars? I just want to know. Does anybody know anybody that owns one and they happy with it? If you do, tell them to call up. Call Rally Radio, 516-206-0711. You know how we get down, man. This the kind of stuff where you got to say to yourself, like, come on. So that's definitely something we wanted to attack early. We wanted to get to it because there's so many different things surrounding it and so many different things happening because of it. They talking about they want to add more EV chargers. Is that going to help? Is that going to help? They said there's going to be as many EV chargers as there are gas stations. But they're not talking about the fact that these guys are talking about adding a congestion tax at the supercharger system. Oh, man. Yeah, I know, right, Marlon? I said the same thing. Shout to Marlon. He said it's an interesting name for a resort temptation. A resort temptation. Sounds like a single spot. But shout to he said, where's S.I? He's looking at a conquest. Yeah, he's looking at a conquest, all right. He got his own adventure he got to get through. It's getting crazy out there for him. But in the meantime, I want to say shout out to everybody who's rocking with us. Don't forget the phone lines are open at 516-206-0711. We got so much things that we want to talk about here. Shout out to my guy Seneca. He said, laugh out loud. So now a heated garage is prerequisite for EV. Exactly. So what happened to charging them indoors and these cars catching fire? Listen, this is what I'm talking about. They trying to find fix after fix, but then they're forcing you to have one. Listen, we're not going to be selling any more gas-powered cars, only electric. I don't know. I guess they want everybody to be thinner. People going to start walking. There's ain't nothing you can do. Congestion pricing at the supercharger. So we all know that New York City's trying to put in congestion pricing here. Could you imagine congestion pricing at a supercharger? So yes, Tesla's actually sending this out to people in the tri-state area that own Teslas, letting them know that if your car is actually charged at more than 80% and you still sit on that supercharger, you're going to get a congestion tax.
Give me your fucking money.
Y'all heard me right. If you sitting at the charger and you got 80% and you like, you know what? I want to stay here till I get 100. They're going to charge you a congestion fee. Wow. If it's not one thing, it's another. And this is why I say at the end of the day, shout out to my guy Draco. He said, so did Elon know this design flaw with charging? Of course he did. There's a lot of things he knew about these cars, but yet and still they let it go. They really let it go. And not for nothing, these are the things that we got that they're not trying to fix. They're letting it go. They're like, whatever, we don't care. As long as we can sell them. And they're calling these things luxury. How? What makes this car luxury at all? I don't understand. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. That's rocking with me. Don't forget, drop your name, Drop a comment in there so I can shout you out. You already know what it is. But now there's so many different issues with them now. We talking about phantom braking. They had a recall for that. We're talking about autopilot. They didn't had a recall for that, and they trying to stop from paying people. Now we're talking about issues with charging in the cold. We've had issues charging in the heat. I don't know what more we need to say they're not ready. Take them back to the drawing board, get them right, and then bring them back. Nah. Instead, they want to take these 18-wheeler trucks and take people right out of them. Shout to Seneca. He said, sound like he took a play out of the iPhone charger scam. Don't say that, man. Steve Jobs is rolling over in his grave. He said, how could he say that? Wish they was robbing cats for a little while, though, too. I ended up going to Samsung over that, too. And I don't care what none of y'all say. Android for the Android, Team Android. I don't care what y'all say. But we got so much show for y'all, so much show lined up, so many different things. I wanted to talk to y'all about this is a funny situation. I had a crazy week, right? So, a lot of times you'd be like, you know what? It's sometimes easier for you to just call an Uber, jump into an Uber, and go where you going, or Lyft, or whatever you rocking with, right? How many of y'all look at the people who's supposed to be driving your Ubers? And with a raise of hands, or if those that can drop it in the comments, how many of y'all really go and look at the app and look at the person and look at the license plate? I do. And you know what? I find something this is hilarious, and I know people it's messed up. But if the Uber driver doesn't look like he's going to get me there on time, I will cancel the ride. If he looks slow or she looks slow, I'll be like, cancel. Let me get another driver. Because sometimes you get in the car with these people and it's like, they just, I don't know. It's like they driving Miss Daisy. I know you don't want to get no wow, nothing crazy, but it's just hilarious, man. I'm telling you. And the more that I sit there, I'm like, yo, this guy's driving slow as hell. What is, I got somewhere I got to be. Hilarious. I just wanted to share that with y'all. But shout to Cynic. He said Hertz is dumping a fleet. 21s, 22s going for 20,000. Now, we heard about this as well. And this is actually just showing you where they're going. Apparently, the reason, so everybody knows that there was a point where Hertz was about to go under. Reason being, nobody was renting cars, COVID season. Nobody wanted to get in a strange car, right? They went kind of bankrupt, went into Chapter 11, was able to make their comeback. And what did they do? They said, we're going to reinvest into electric vehicles. And what did they do? They ended up buying, I think it was 100,000 Teslas, which I think is crazy. But they bought 100,000 Teslas. And they said, here, we're going to go into the EV movement. They even hired Tom Brady to do the commercials. And I know y'all saw it because even I'm tired of looking at them where he's like, Hertz, let's go. Yeah, I'm sick of it. In the midst of that, Hertz has now said they're selling all of their EVs off for like pennies on the dollar. They're selling for like $20,000. Why do you say that? Why is that happening? Hertz has come out and said that the cars are too expensive to fix, and people are coming back crashing them or hitting them, or something's wrong with them, and they cannot fix them. I want to know if anybody thought of that before we decided to buy 100,000. But at the same time, they're getting rid of these cars because they said they cannot. They said for whatever reason, the people who rent them cannot stop crashing them. When they crash them, they're written off. We talked about this with the insurance companies. The insurance companies are like, it's cheaper for us to pay you the value of the car than it is to fix it. And we talking about fender benders. We ain't talking about, mashed up. And if they get mashed up, forget it. You might as well just get rid of the whole car. But this is what it is. So you got to ask yourself, why are they pushing these like that? And we talking about Teslas have what they call like a unibody. So it's not like they can take off a fender or take off the driver's side. They're all one piece. And because they're one piece, if it gets damaged, it's even harder to fix. If y'all know anybody that own one, I want to know why they own one. But that's interesting to say the least. Man. Interesting. We got so much more. This is crazy. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. We are here early, man. You already know what it is. The bearded one. I'm in the building today. Shout out to everybody that's rocking with us. Got a lot of different things going on here today, but we definitely gonna have a different show for y'all. So with that being said, we about to set it off early. Let's get to it.
Weekly specs. Auto news for all the listeners, only on Rally Radio.
Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. My guy Marlon, he said, follow the money. I said, you ain't lying, Marlon. Follow the money. Shout out to Drake. He said that 4-hour charging is crazy. Yes, it is. But at the same time, this is what they doing. I got something else for y'all that's crazy. Lamborghini sets a sales record of 10,000 vehicles. This is actually interesting. You know why? Because Lamborghinis are selling like they cheap right now. Shout to my homegirl, Erica Maurice. She's in the building. Let's go. Shout to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. Lamborghini sets a sales record of more than 10,000 vehicles. This is crazy. I'm telling you, I know if y'all out there in them streets, y'all seen more Lamborghinis than you can shake a stick at. I'm telling you. If you don't see the Lamborghini SUV, the Urus, you probably see another Lamborghini over here. You're starting to see them a lot. And I'm like, wow, what they having a sale on them? But it looks like the success to Lamborghini, the Urus SUV, which now costs $250,000 American, in recent years have expanded its output, and now they're making so much money off of these cars, it's not even funny. Ferrari, that released their SUV, theirs hasn't even been selling as much. So you got to say to yourself, Lamborghini has got to be doing something right. At the same time, though, I mean, 250,000? I can't do that. And I mean, it's an SUV at the end of the day. How many of y'all are really moved by that SUV? Drop it in the comments below. Drop a like. You already know what it is. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. It's definitely not my cup of tea. When I looked at it, it has everything that you would expect in a Lamborghini. You see the leather seats, leather bucket race seats, engine to go with it. It is not manual. However, the brakes, especially if you get the Performante, which is the performance version of that car, like it wasn't already. But 250,000 and they sold out. They are sold out of them. Yes. They have no more. And you got to say to yourself, wow, how does Lamborghini continue to do that? And let's get into it. Shout out to Larry McBride. He said, you better off buying a house. You ain't lying.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
They could keep it. 250,000. And that to me is crazy all in itself. Shout to Seneca. Shout to Seneca. That Ferrari is sexy though. I can't front. And not for nothing. It comes with a V12. The Ferrari's a little different than that Urus. That Ferrari SUV comes with the V12 in it. Nasty, to say the least. That's crazy. Sexier too, yeah. I would want to drive it, but that much for an SUV. And then we remember, what is an SUV? We know we're going to take an SUV off the road. You taking a Ferrari off the road? Hell no. You taking a Lamborghini SUV off the road? Hell no. Now you give me a Grand Cherokee Jeep, yeah, I'm gonna do it. It just goes to show it's like, you know, the lines are being blurred everywhere we go. And I think the biggest part of that has to be that they're more status symbols than they are good cars. Shout to my guy, SP the Don is in the building. He said, I'm gonna talk to Chrysler about making a ghetto Urus. That's hilarious. You know what I find funny about that is because when the Chrysler 300C came out, everybody was like, yo, it's a hood Bentley. Until you pull up on a real Bentley. Then you're like, oh, that is not a Bentley. Shout to Zoom for Zoom. He's in the building as well. Shout to him. Zoom for Zoom is in the building. He said, I'm sure people that buy Lamborghini Urus live in a very nice house. I don't know. I seen one parked outside the P the other day. Like, what is this? I would like to believe that though too. Zoom, shout to him. $250,000 for an Audi with a Lamborghini badge. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. I'm telling you, everybody in the comments, man. I'm telling you, they be straight comedians, be cracking me up. But there's so much more going on with that. It's like that's a lot of money. 250,000. I just couldn't do it. Right. What's crazy? The Audi is half the price. No. Might as well get that. And we all seen it. They went up under the car, looked at the badgery, and we know that Lamborghini is owned by Volkswagen. So you already know they interchanging parts. as it is. I can't knock him for that. But at the same time, you got to say to yourself, hey, what are you really paying for? So that's crazy. But in the meantime, Mazda looks like they're developing rotary engines again. The CEO said that they're going to jump right in. Now, we haven't seen a good Mazda in a long time. I don't know. A lot of people are driving the Mazda SUVs. Not really a fan, but a lot of people seem to like them. It looks like Mazda's going to be developing rotary engines once again. Now, that was Mazda's claim to fame, especially when it came to racing. The rotary engine. The rotary engine, the Wankel engine. No pistons, no rods. We already know what it is. But do you think that Mazda can perfect it? Because to me, it was also one of the reasons why their cars don't last over 100,000. A lot of work that goes into the maintenance of keeping these cars, which is why when you see an RX-7 for sale, you really got to test. You got to test it and make sure everything is good. You got to check, make sure everything is good on that thing. Because if not, if the rotors are bad, or if the side of the rotor, you could have a real issue, and it's very expensive to fix. But it looks like Mazda has said we're gonna do this thing again. So shout to them first off, though. I am happy for them because at one point you don't want Mazda to really fall off. You need them. You need them in the game. You need them in the game. You need them in the game. But I think that it's one of those kind of things where you got to build up their following once again. So, with that being said, we got a couple other things we're going to talk about, too. This one is actually interesting. And, we stop the music. This is going to be good. Government suspends CARS rule, CARS rule that would stop shady dealers in their tracks. Now, for those that don't know what CARS is, it's an acronym, Combating Auto Retail Scams. It looks like the government is cutting that out because it looks like the dealers and their lobbyists have gotten to the government. Now, we've all seen some of the prices that they're charging for some of these cars. When the pandemic first hit, they started charging people upwards of $10,000 and $20,000 in markup, saying it was market value. So at that time, the government came out with something called CARS, Combating Auto Retail Scams. Didn't work, in my opinion, because we've seen it go from bad to worse. We've seen people add $20,000, $30,000 on sports cars or SUVs for that matter. But it looks like now this was something that the government put in place, and now they're striking it right down. And now it's going to go into effect in July 30th. So let's get into this a little bit. Last year, consumers across the country rejoiced following the Federal Trade Commission's announcement that it would introduce the Combating Auto Retail Scams CARS rule to prevent dealers from exploiting devious tactics when selling cars. According to an official document from the FTC, the National Automobile Dealers Association and the Texas Automobile Dealers Association have filed a petition for review, with which they claim the CARS rule is arbitrary, capricious, and an abuse of discretion without observance of procedure required by law or otherwise not in accordance with law. That's a lot to be said. When the rule was announced in December of 2023, now that CEO Mike Stanton described it as a heavy-handed, bureaucratic overreach and redundancy. Y'all notice this is all dealers that's fighting this. They don't want nobody to check them as far as prices for cars are concerned. So we got to start looking at this now. So, moreover, the FTC says petitioners' arguments for a stay rest of mischaracterizations of what the rule requires of covered motor vehicle dealers, including inaccurate claims that dealers will need to overhaul their practices and increase compliance costs. So, in other words, it's going to cost them more because there's certain things that they're not allowed to do, and they got to give their dealers training. Meaning, if you have a car, you want to go to the dealership and you say, you know what, man, I love that Dodge Durango. I really want it. I built one on the internet, and on the internet, it cost me $51,000. You'll go into that dealership and you'll show them the print work. And when you show it to me, he says, you know what? We have one. And when you go see it, it'll say $51,000. But then you'll see markup on it for $10,000. No, this is gonna cost you $61,000. And you're like, how could they get away with that? This is how. Because at the end of the day, they have all of the people that they are lobbying with, and the lobbyists are fighting for them in their favor. And this is what we say about the automotive community. We do not have enough lobbyists out there. It's not enough people fighting for people to be treated right, especially when it comes to car sales and car dealership. How many of y'all, when you went to buy your car or wherever you bought your car from, if you went to a dealership, how did you feel about that? You didn't feel like when you left out of there, you felt dirty, like, I feel like I got, but, and that's just the experience all in itself. And reason being is because you know that every minute they trying to pry more money out of your hands. They not trying to sell you the car. When I went to go get my Type R, I went upstate. And when I was upstate, this guy tried to sell me everything under the sun. He was like, oh, well, we have this, we have this car, we have this insurance. Let us do the loan for you. I said, no, I had already had the cash secured. So I said, I just came to cut the check and get the car. It took them about 2 hours for them to realize that's all I'm here for. And if you're not going to give me the car, I'm leaving. I don't need your loan. I don't need no insurance from you. I don't need nothing like that. Only thing I need is for you to give me the car and you take this check. And at that point, they said, you know what? It doesn't make sense to keep bothering you over this. Here, we'll just sell you the car. But this is what I mean. You got to go in there prepared. And now you see why. Shout to SP. He said, when Mazda breaks, you can't get it fixed anywhere except for the dealership. That hurts, but it is true. It is true. I don't know anybody. I know maybe 1 or 2 shops that are really good at it, and it's like a lost art. But you got to say to yourself at the end of the day, this is what I mean. It's like everybody's in cahoots. And this is why these cars are just costing too much. Now, the banks, the interest rates on the loans. That's 1. 2, the prices of the cars themselves. That's going to limit a lot of people from driving in general. And you have to say to yourself, like, at what point are they going to look at helping the people? And they're not. They're not looking at helping the people. They're like, you know what? You'll figure it out. If you don't, you can take the bus that we putting over here. How about this EV train or something? This is hilarious. This is what they doing. But I got to say, again, you got to look out for it. At least you can say, shout to Rally Radio. We in the building. Shout to Rally Radio. We are here. And speaking of Rally Radio, we got a couple things that we wanted to talk about that we had planned. Like I said, I had a different show for y'all earlier today. We wanted to talk about it. We was actually going to have a guest up here today, but due to the weather, we had to pull it. We had to slow everything down. But we got a couple other things we're going to talk about. And let me tell you, today, we're going to definitely be bringing up some of the things that we seen when it came to drag racing and street racing. What is the draw with street racing? That's another thing we're talking about later on today. But shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. Now we get down, man. We are in the building, and we definitely got some more for you right here. Looks like the Lamborghini Revuelto. Now, that's the Lamborghini that's replacing the Aventador. It is sold out now until at least 2026. And here we go again with a Lamborghini selling out. What? How are they selling out? This is how you know during the pandemic, people made a lot of money. During the scamdemic, rather. Because people are still purchasing, they still buying, there's a lot of money that was made out there. So you got to say to yourself, how are they affording? Now mind this Revuelto. I'm saying the name wrong, so I'm hacking it up. The Revuelto. My Italian is not the greatest. They're covering production till 2026, but they are plug-in hybrid though. So yeah, that's probably why we didn't really bring it up that much while we was up here. But it is sold out. So you got to say to yourself again, how are they doing this? But Lamborghini is doing it, and not only are they doing it, they're doing it with their employees having a 4-day work week. I know you remember us talking about that. Lamborghini had a 4-day work week for their employees. Shout to my guy JT's in the building early. You already know what it is. I don't know how. I wish my job would adopt a 4-day work week. That'd be great. My job will have Clark Kent. But we're gonna jump right into some more news that we got going on. The Laguna Seca Raceway. So those who don't know, this is one of the most legendary racetracks. It's been around for 70 years. And now they're getting noise complaints and traffic complaints because of the noise. I find this hilarious. I don't know who moved I don't know who moved near a racetrack and wanted to complain about the noise, but this is what I mean. This is what I mean. These are the kind of people that we just.
It's the Understeer,
What up?
where we like to ask, what the hell were you thinking?
You got to get the understeer for that. You move next to a racetrack and complain about the noise. I got to give y'all a minute for that because that's crazy. Shout out to Jessica Gray. She said facts, 4 days is lit. If I could have 3 days off, that'd be great. But let's get into this. Laguna Seca Raceway sued for noise and traffic complaints. A handful of residents along Highway 68 are suing Monterey County for excessive noise and traffic at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. The Laguna Seca circuit was opened in 1957, and residents knew the track would be graced by loud cars. So what's changed? According to the group called Highway 68 Coalition, the number of races and events has increased substantially over the last 2 years compared with the period from 1974 to 2021. These increases include, but are not limited to, more racetrack events, higher permitted noise levels, additional track rental delays with intensified noise in excess of 100 dBs, increased traffic, inadequate water supply and water quality, inadequate sewage disposal, and expansion of camping grounds. Read the lawsuit. And there's more. People, listen. If I move next to a racetrack, I think I should like racing. I mean, if they still was around from its inception, then it's got to be their family members. This makes no sense. Shout out to my guy JT. He said, "Tell them to move." That's like people moving to Rockaway and complaining about the noise from the This is a fact. Moving to Rockaway and complaining about the noise at JFK Airport. Rebluto. I don't know. Rebuelto. I guess I'm getting it wrong. Shout out to SP. I appreciate the help, though. But now you got to look at this and say to yourself, how can you be upset with this? Says the lawsuit also takes issue with the track allowing rentals to happen now 340 days a year, according to Richard Rosenthal, one of the attorneys representing the disgruntled residents. It's a facility that's used almost every day, as the attorney, complaining that allowing different organizations to rent the track creates a nuisance kind of noise. Again, the track existed long before most residents in the area were even born. But assuming that they have a leg to stand on, what do they want to come of this? Well, it wants Monterey County to ban any events that exceed the noise limits established in 1985. As you can imagine, Monterey County doesn't see things that way. I just got to say that for y'all. This is hilarious. You move near a racetrack. Now, that racetrack is a business. They're renting out the racetrack 340 days out the year, and you're upset with that. Like, no, there's too much noise and too much this and that. How could you even do that? But I find it interesting that at the end of the day, people are even entertaining this noise. But when it comes down to, and this is why we see in racetracks close around the United States. We all remember Englishtown. We heard the commercials. Raceway Park, gone. I believe there's only one track left here, and not necessarily a road track, but a drag strip. You got Cecil County, Maryland. Shout to them because they got a good name. But at the same time, this is why a lot of racetracks are closing. Because you're getting complaints of stupid things like this. That was the same complaint in Raceway Park in Jersey. Now that they got more people moving in, oh, you know what? Oh, this racetrack causes too much noise. That's like, I'm telling you, that's like you moving, like shout out to my guy JT. That's like moving to Far Rock and complaining about the planes. What else are they gonna do? This is JFK Airport. They can't fly nowhere else. Or we're gonna be quiet. We're gonna push the plane a couple miles down the coast and then start it. Come on, bruh. We got to get to a point where we actually people could sue for the silliest things. However, it just makes it I just don't understand it. I don't understand. And then they talk about they want it at the same noise levels as 1985. Nothing makes the same amount of noise as it did from 1985. Nothing, not even garbage trucks. Garbage trucks are louder than it was in 1985. It's like you got to look at this thing and say to yourself, how could people actually push for something like this? Shout out to my guy JT, said business and economy to the town. Right. Shout out to Ace One, he's in the building. Shout out to Ace One, he's in the building. He said, moving under overpass and then saying it's too noisy. This is what I'm saying. And shout out to Jessica, she said people can complain. People complain about the craziest things. And and that's like us living in the city right now. People complain over noise, but it's New York City. The label of the city is what? City that never sleeps. That was the label of the city. Now, we the city that's, you know what? Going to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. This thing is crazy. Shout out to AC said living near the beach and complaining about the ocean. Exactly. Facts. Everything louder than 1985. That's what I'm talking about, JT. Shout out to Coach Kirk. He said, like moving to a flood zone area and want the state to do something about the flooding. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. Don't forget, drop a like, drop a comment so we can shout you out, man. We appreciate everybody that's tuning in. This is what I'm saying. So, like, you like, yo, you know what? I live near the ocean, but I'm tired of the high tide. Like, you can't do that. Why'd you move there? Well, we got a lot of that, and I don't understand. Shout out to Ace said complaining is one thing, suing about it is different. Now, my thing is, at what point do we say, well, you know what? They're not gonna limit where you could buy your property. Well, why not sell it? I could only imagine I would love to buy a house, Monterey County, right next to Laguna Seca. I would wake up in the morning and drink coffee to the sound of a Porsche 911 at about 8,500 RPM, hitting a left turn on the Apex daily. Yes. That would be great for me. Shout to Marley. He says, seagulls are too noisy. That's a fact. I don't know if any of y'all, listen, I went to high school at August Martin. And the one thing we hated about August Martin, and I'm going to just take y'all a quick trip down memory lane. We used to walk from August Martin all the way there. I used to walk to the bus by the Q85. And we had these seagulls. Now, you know, Rockaway Beach and all that's not far from where we was at. We had these seagulls that was there, right? So the seagulls would be in Rochdale Mall parking lot all the time. And I couldn't stand it. I mean, these seagulls big. Shout out to my guy, Corey. So one day we all walking around, my man Tyran, it was a couple of us. And we had some pizza. You know, we used to get the $1 pizza from out the spot. One day we just got so bored, we just took the pizza and we ripped off a little piece of the bread and we threw the bread in the air and we saw the seagulls start wailing. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. My man Tyran, that's my guy. He actually ripped a piece of the pizza and when he threw it, it landed in this girl's hoodie in the back and the seagulls started straight attacking her after they're like, all over. Yo, crazy. Chased her all the way to the bus stop. And when they couldn't get no food, when they couldn't get to her hood, yo, they straight crapped on her, kid. I'd never been a fan of seagulls after that. I was like, yo, these things are wild. Like if you go to the beach, a seagull will rob you. They will rob you blind, kid. They have you thinking like, yo, if I don't give it up, they're going to bite me. But that's a whole nother ball game. But like I said, at Laguna Seca, you got to say to yourself, this is a racetrack. We can't get upset for them for them making noise at a racetrack. And the reason I brought it up is because now, like you said, you got to tie this into New York City too. When you look at New York City, how can we complain about noise of cars, horns? This is what it is. Now we got people moving from some of these other places and they calling themselves New Yorkers and they're having problems. They're having problems with noise. Like, bruh, I think there's a lot of other things going on outside of noise. How about somebody getting knocked in the head, robbed? How about somebody getting stabbed on a train, shot? Come on, man. We got 1,000 different things to worry about. And we talking about noise? I don't understand it. It just drives me up the wall sometimes. Shout to the Facebook. He says seagulls are the mafias of all birds. You ain't lying. Gangsters on the wing. Shout this Ace. He said if you buy in a house, noise is like the top thing you should write about. My thing is, when I bought my home, yeah, we knew that we was in the path for planes, but I don't care. I don't care. You know why? Because I'm a New Yorker. I've heard worse. I've heard fire alarms at night. We've heard gunshots at night, stuff like that. So if I don't hear none of that, I'm straight. But it just goes to show, like I said again, this is one of those kind of things where you got to say to yourself, this is what it is. That's just in Laguna Seca in California. You can see how things are changing. It's ridiculous out there. Sometimes I got to say to myself, Don't be like a lot of these people, man. Don't forget, you can subscribe to YouTube at Guttable Rally. Subscribe to our YouTube page at Guttable Rally if you're not looking at our YouTube page already. Don't forget, you can subscribe down there, man. We appreciate everybody who's tuned in, who's rocks in, who drops a like, share, all of that. We appreciate it early. But with that being said, we got some more topics that we're going to cover out here. It's definitely crazy out here, man. And the fact that some people are pissed off about something like that, it could get crazy. It could definitely, that's the kind of thing you got to say to yourself, what are we talking about? But just to get right back into more, because you know we got a lot more for you. When it comes down to all different types of cars to see come to an end, one of the last ones that I thought I would never see, and this is definitely crazy because we had said it on the show before, that this is the car that had the last V8, one of that Dodge is building, the Dodge Durango. The Dodge Durango SRT 392 Hemi launches the Durango's last call. The Durango will now be having a last call. If you own one, hold on to it because it's going to be worth a little something. Dodge is launching a series of last call models to mark the end of V8 production for the Durango SUV at the end of 2024. The first of the last call Durangos will be the Durango SRT 392 Alchemy, which will be limited to 1,000 units when it goes on sale. The special edition adds visual flair to the exterior while the interior is marked with yellow and silver stitching accents, as well as a 392 logo embroidered throughout. This is crazy. This is what I say, man. They killing all of V8. Shout to JT. He said, if you're in New York, you're used to the car alarm, subways, the gunshots, and noise at night. That's what I'm saying. Listen. Side note. I can understand how people would get pissed off about car exhaust and things like that at night. I can understand it. Because some of these guys, they doing the burble tune and all that, and it's out of control. I'm not going to say it's not. At the same time, this is the city. Do you really want cameras and things all over the place taking pictures of Indy and everything like that? Or do you feel like, you know what, that's where the city needs to go? You can drop your comments in the bottom, man. Let me know what you're thinking, man. At the end of the day, noise is noise. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. If you didn't want to live in a place with noise, they got a place called, what was that? Hidden Valley? The ranch spot? Go move over there or something. But at the end of the day, noise is noise, man. Noise is noise. That's why I moved where I'm at, because I was like, you know what? I said, we're a little tired of the noise. We're going to move over here. We don't stand. Like, I understand people. But then again, when I look at some of these things, there's a lot of things I can't understand. Shout out to SP to Don. He said it's not the regular New Yorkers complaining, it's these new residents. And let me tell you, we got a lot of them. We got a lot of them. A lot of new residents. That's why I say you got to be a certain type of person if you're calling yourself a New Yorker. Shout to Marlon. V8s are too noisy. Let's sue all the automakers that make them. And that's their train of thought. Oh, you know what? They shouldn't be making them. Oh my God. How could you have such a loud engine? I don't understand. It just makes me sick. All I hear is V8s and they're screaming and they're louder. I'm going to sue Dodge. That's exactly what we got. That's what people do. So we got to start to keep it in mind to ourselves. These are the kind of things that are killing car culture. And a lot of people say, oh, you know, cars, you know, they just get around. Nah, not for most people. You got some people who really love these things. You got some people that's their bread and butter. They fix cars. They tune cars. They build parts for cars. They actually do things that are inside the automotive community. And now we're talking about getting rid of all of that. Shout to the Facebook user, Sly Fox. Shout to my guy. That's what I'm talking about. Always got a good comment. He said if NYC didn't have noise, it wouldn't be NYC. That's right. It'd be NC, North Carolina. This is what I'm saying. Shout to Draco. He said, and the cars be slow, as F anyway. I know. To me, all of this stuff says to me at the end of the day that we're just getting to that point where they want. They want us to get there. And that's what's happening. They get into a point where they just want everything silent. They want to check your speed. They want to check your car. Everything. This is why that movie that came out is very, very interesting. And y'all know we talked about that a little bit too, because a lot of people was like, oh, they saw the last couple shows that we did with it, you know, Whoa, what did y'all mean by the future? This is the future. Do you really trust these cars? Like, as I was watching that movie and you see all those Teslas coming back and the husband's like, oh, yeah, here they come. The wife had to tell him, whoa, these things are not manned. I don't understand why he, and he stood right there waiting for them. Here they go crashing. I don't know. This is crazy. It's crazy. But at the end of the day, we're going to jump right into it. You already know what it is, man. It's the Bearded One. Don't forget the phone lines are open 516-206-0711. Now, we got another thing we're going to talk about here before we move on. It looks like the feds are awarding another $623 million for another 7,500 EV chargers in 22 states. Shout out to Draco. Said it's like fart cans back in the day. You already know. Yeah, you definitely heard them Hondas, but at least, I don't know, man. It's like cop pull you over, you get a little exhaust ticket, you call it a day. But now they trying to hit you for $1,000. Nah, can't do it. That's unfair to everybody. I don't care. That's unfair to everybody. That's unfair to everybody. If you're gonna hit everybody with a ticket like that, you gotta start wondering to yourself, like, come on, bro. This is why we gotta say, you gotta be careful. The name of the movie I'm talking about is Leave the World Behind. I don't know if anybody saw that, but that movie quite possibly put people right where they needed to be as far as what's going on out here. Leave the world behind. There was a scene in it where they tried to escape and go back to the city. And as they were trying to escape, and I don't want to kill the movie for those that are going to see it, so it's going to be a little bit of a tale. But they on their way, they driving on the highway, they notice that there's nothing but cars in front of them. They're trying to figure out if it's traffic. They pull up, they see all of these cars are crashed. They're all Teslas, and none of them have license plates. They're trying to figure out how did they get there. Come to find out, everything at this time was hacked. The wife figured it out. The husband is standing out. He sees 8 and 10 more cars coming his way. She tells him, get back in the car. You watch these things crash and load up the highway to where nobody could get around. I thought that was crazy. And then the fact that it was executive produced by ex-president, it's like almost scary. You know what I mean? You got to start wondering to yourself, like, what's going on with that? You know what I mean? So definitely interesting to say the least. We got a lot of things going on here. We're going to take a quick 10-second intermission. Just check us out for a minute. Back just like that. We are back. Appreciate everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. You already know what it is, man. Shout out to my guy. My guy Dave is in the building. He came through. He's gonna be sitting down with us, chilling with us. But in the meantime, you see a lot of that. That's what I understand. Like, when you start to see a lot of those things, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like you got to figure that they're telling us something at that point. You know what I mean? They are telling us something. They are letting us know that, yo, it is not a game out here. We got to pay attention to what's going on. But in the meantime, shout out to my guy, Dave. He's in the building.
Good afternoon, everyone.
He's in the building. He came. He said, you know what, man? Look like you got an open seat. I told him to come on through, man.
Shout out to Shawn. Thank you for letting me occupy your seat. Know you'll be back next week.
He'll definitely be back next week. But for the meantime, you here, Dave. So let me tell you, let's first off, don't forget, shout out your show if you can. Shout your show out, Dave.
Mondays, 4:30 to 6:30. First stop to the next stop. Right here on Bars and Hoops Radio, where we talking everything in the world of sports. Whatnot. So, and my cast, Coach Kurt, Serge the Sports Star, and Todd the Magnificent.
Let's go.
All right, so
let's go.
We're in the building. Mondays, 4:30 to 6:30.
Let's go. So this is gonna get interesting now. Shout to Philly. He said facts. The movies always let you know what's the and that's what I'm saying. When you look at a lot of different movies, a lot of things have happened right after the movie. Let's talk about Minority Report. Let's talk about what was that? I Robot, Enemy of the State. a lot of these movies are telling us like, yo, so for us to not even like look at that movie, Leave the World Behind, and actually not buy into it, is that it's like kind of hard not to. Shout out to my guy Sales, he's in the building.
Shout out to Sales.
Let's go. That being, we got a lot of people tuned in, man. I want to shout to everybody. Shout to Marlon. He said Obama produced a lot of great movies and documentaries that make you think of You Are Awake, that is. Demolition Man. Yo.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Demolition Man had a lot of reality to it too. Minority Report was the one that really shook me, though.
Yes.
That was the one that really shook me, because I was like, wait a minute, man. You trying to tell me that they're going to be trying to stop crimes before they happen? That sounds like a Terminator move. You know what I mean? But like I said, to each his own, man. It's definitely crazy. We got a lot of things we want to talk about right here. But like I said, the feds are awarding another $623 million for 7,500 EV chargers. This is crazy. So now they said that they want as many EV chargers as they have gas stations. Like, that's going to help. And it says the grants are being announced Thursday and will fund 47 EV charger stations and related projects in 22 states and Puerto Rico, including 7,500 EV charging ports. America led the arrival of the automotive era, and now we have a chance to lead the world into the EV revolution, securing jobs, savings, and benefits for Americans in the process. This is what they try to hide it behind. China, on the other hand, is way ahead of us when it comes to this. You know what I'm saying? So, gotta look at it like that. What's going on, Dave? What it is?
I know it's cold outside. The weather is a little frightful. You know, I was in the neighborhood. I was tuning into the show, and I was getting ready to do some recycling over by the congressman's office. Whatnot. The line was wrapped. I said, oh, there's an open seat. Let me come and get in there. So I said, all right, I'm on my way. But I mean, you know, it's like, you know, you're doing Saturday chores, and, you know, they recycle the paper, they recycle the electronics and everything like that.
Let's go.
And that's, you know, I think they do it like every 4 months.
Yeah.
So, and it's something that's good for people to do. Recycle their stuff, especially
like what? Like
backed up paperwork.
Okay.
Old electronic devices.
Okay.
Things of that nature.
They taking them parts and they using them.
Exactly.
Shout to my guy, Anthony Green. He's in the building. What's going on?
Uh-oh. Shout out to Green. Friday, we up in there. We up in the Bronx. We're going to celebrate his retirement. Shout out to my dude, Anthony Green.
Shout to my guy. Shout to Sales. It said 5 minutes to charge your car with gas, half an hour. 5 minutes to pump your car full of gas, a half hour longer to charge your car full of. That's a fact.
Yes.
That's too long. Yo, if you're on a road trip, forget it. You got to plan that road trip out to the T. And that's what we got to say. It's like, yo, you know what? It's just getting to that point where it's getting crazy now. But like I said, at the end of the day, these are the things that they want. These are the things that they want. It's more control over you, more control over everything else. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. And this is actually another great story. You know, we're going to jump right into our next little segment we got going on here. Shout out to my guy, Davies, in the building. Here we go, y'all. Y'all ready?
Shout out to Coach Kirk.
With Pop the Bearded One and S.I Shawn.
All right, S.I Shawn's not in the building, but you already know what it is. We are here. Shout out to my guy, Big N. He said, can't remember the last time it was so cold the gas station didn't work. Oh,
whoa.
Hold up. Hold on, because that was hilarious. You got to get.
Yes.
That's a fact. And this is what I'm saying. EVs, listen, we not ready. This was a chill that we haven't had in 5 years. It hasn't been this cold in 5 years. Texas got snow. Louisiana got snow. Yeah, these are not things that's going to happen all the time. But when they do you really want to look at your car and say, yo, it's not going to go. It's not going to start. You stuck wherever you are. Look at Florida. Florida suffers from floods. They suffer from hurricanes coming through there. Do you really want to deal with that kind of car and that kind of weather? No. I want to be able to jump in this thing and get the hell up out of here. You know what I'm saying? Shout to, he said, good luck driving down south on those snake roads looking for a charge there. That's right.
Alligators.
Or not only that, you a sitting duck.
Uh-oh.
If somebody was really trying to get you and you running out of charge, you got to sit on the charging station for like 20 minutes or a half hour. You a sitting duck. You ain't going nowhere. I got you. You know what I'm saying? You could get got just like that. I think people got to start thinking of these kind of things. Like I said, that's me just being a conspiracy theorist. Y'all know how I get down here.
They need portable chargers. Ones you carry around with you instead of locking into the charging station.
He said it, y'all. Dave said it, not me. If I ever see any of y'all driving around with a portable charger, I'm gonna definitely have to sit back and say, listen, no, this is not for you. We don't need that. But it just goes to show there's a lot of things going on out here. And one of the main things, like I said, we're gonna talk about right now, Ford CEO. He said he's fine with being the only one on the planet making a V8 affordable sports car. Could I give Ford a round of applause? Because it seems like Ford is the only one that's thinking about the people. Now, remember, me and S.I Shawn talked about this a little while ago. The point of a lot of these muscle cars was they was affordable cars for the working man, right? The Corvette was like the median. That's like you got that after you retired. Maybe you retired, you got a nice little check after you retired, and you spent that bread. But now, when it came down to all the Dodges, all the Fords, a lot of the other Chevys, and we talking about muscle car era back then, these are cars that you could afford. Now they making them so that you can't afford them. Shout to Marlon. He said they have portable chargers. It's called the gas powered generator. Say, strap it to your butt. I told you. I told you they was gonna get you. Look. Here we go. He said, what's gonna happen to chargers? He said, what's gonna happen to charger stations? Areas like Florida or hurricanes and flood zones, water and electricity. Good luck. Yes. The last hurricane that we had, that was bad. It came through Florida. They got to the point where a lot of the electrical vehicles was not charging. But instead of being able to just take them and put them away, they had to put them on a lot 50 feet away from each other, because when these things get soaked in water, the batteries go bad and these things blow up. And not only do they blow up, they catch fire. You can't put them out. So you know what they was doing? They digging ditches in some of these places and putting the car in the ditch and filling it up with water. Wow. What in the heck? We got to do all of this?
I guess it's not soundproof or foolproof.
It's not. It's not. And this is why these things are dangerous, man. This is why they're dangerous. Shout to the Ford CEO. So, like we said earlier, the V8 sport or muscle car rather was for the man who couldn't afford. You know what? This is what I'm gonna get instead. Now they getting rid of those. Shout to Ford CEO Jim Farley. Now he's definitely gotten a bad rep here on Rally Radio, but today he's gonna get a round of applause. Shout to CEO Jim Farley. He says Ford's perfectly happy to be the last bastion of the affordable V8 muscle car. That's actually interesting. He said the Ford Mustang is both different and the same as it's ever been. We already know that. Shout to those who own them. Farley gave an inspiring quote to a group of media at the company's 2024 racing season launch party in Charlotte, North Carolina, early in the week. He said Mustang is going to celebrate its 60th anniversary coming up. A lot of our competitors have left. They've come and they've gone. We never did that. We've always been there with the Mustang, 60 years, and it's changed over time. We have EcoBoost. He shouldn't have said that. He could have left that by himself. We have EcoBoost. We have the Dark Horse now, and we're going to continue to invest. And if we're the only one on the planet making a V8 affordable sports car for everyone in the world, then so be it. I got to give him this props. And y'all know we've been dogging Jim Farley after they came with that Mustang EV. We was dogging him. But at the same time, if this man is really standing here saying, yes, they did turn that Mustang EV Mach 1 pig thing. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yo, killing me with this. Yes, I know. But at the same time, this man has stood up there and said that, you know what? We will make these V8s until we cannot anymore. And you got to appreciate that. Dodge has left the party. And not of their own desire. They got a new boss at Stellantis who wasn't trying to hear it. Chevy, we don't know what Chevy's doing. I don't know what they're doing. If it's going to be another Corvette, they already killing the Camaro. I don't know. So it remains to be seen. But at the same time, they're still making that V8. So you got to say to yourself, this is what we doing. Is this what's left? All of these cars are leaving us, man. They're all leaving us. They all leaving us. You got to say to yourself, if the Mach-E, and they could have named that anything. They didn't have to name it a Mustang. I guess they did it just so they could sell it. You ever seen a Mach-E, Dave?
That's
the Mustang Mach-E. It looked like an SUV, but it has a Mustang. It's electric.
Right. I did go to the car show, and I did see all those cars. And truth be told, electric cars are interesting, but I think, and I know they're headed toward electric, but I think we need gas stations still all over the place.
I tell you what. Shout out to the face. He said, me and my brother Keith got the last of a dying breed 8-cylinder stick. Cha-ching, cha-ching. That's my guy, Slotbox. Him and Keith Franklin. We had a car meet. Shout out to everybody came out. Everybody knows that what we do. We have our little car meets, the speed and greets is what we like to call them. We're gonna have a whole bunch more coming up. They showed up with the cleanest Fox bodies.
Okay.
Mustangs. That even I had to
Do a double take.
I had to take my hat off to clean it, and you don't see them clean anymore.
Right.
You know, and this also brings up a lot of things that we talked about before, like as far as being a classic car, right? The older the car gets, the harder they are to maintain.
Right.
But at the same time, when I see a great example, you cannot not take your hat off. You got to say to yourself, that's more than just a regular owner. That's somebody who really takes pride in their car. And trust me, both of them gentlemen do. Both of them gentlemen do. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. You already know how we get down here, man. But I will be honest, though. To me, you first off, you don't see a lot of those manual anyway, or at least in the condition that shout to Sly Fox and Keith that they have. The body after the 93 to 96 body, I don't even see a lot of those either. But just the fact that you got a V8 manual, something like that. Let's go. I got to give him a shout out. To me, this is one of those kind of things where you say to yourself, are there any other cars that you would like to see more on the road of? And you know what? That would be M's that are manual. Yes, I said it. Yes, I said it. Yes, I said it. You got a lot of these automatic BMWs out here. They're not really saying nothing. They're not making no noise. But it looks like the BMW M drivers are saving the manual transmission with BMW. Now, when it comes to manual, we already know BMW want to walk away from this so bad. They're like, oh, we're so done with it. It's antiquated. You know, we hear all these other people. Keep an open mind. Right? But now it looks like BMW said they're going to continue to put it out because their manual drivers are asking for this. That's something to think about. I believe you should always have the option available. Was it really going to hurt? Even if you're going to charge them more. If you're going to charge somebody $1,000, $2,000 more for a manual, then it should still be there. But the fact that they want to take it away, it looks like a lot of the manual drivers for the BMWs are not having them. Dave, you ever drove manual?
Yes.
Do you like driving manual?
Yes.
Do you really?
Yeah. You know, I think I had a GTI.
Oh, man. Wait, hold up. Shout to Dave. Y'all. Hold on. Dave had a GTI. That was actually a legend of auto here on this show.
Yeah.
But what made you love that car the way you did?
One that was good on gas. I just loved the car. It was small. It was good on gas. It would go. It had power. And I just loved that car.
Let me tell you something. Now that car is a legend. Can't find them anywhere clean. And anywhere you find them is going to cost you a lot. It's going to cost you a lot. And I think that's just because they're clean cars, but at the end of the day, they're just going to cost you a lot. And that is kind of where we going with these autos now. Now with these EVs, do you feel like there will ever be an EV? And you just said it yourself. You went to the car show and you wasn't impressed by nothing that was there.
That's correct.
Everything was ugly. They showed, let me tell you, the other day they put out a reveal for the 2024 Tesla. And I said, what is the difference between this car and this one? Nothing. They all look like Kermit the Frog, in my opinion. There's no way that none of them look hot. I'm sorry. None of them look hot. And if you drive a Tesla, let me know. Drop it in the comments below because I'm tired of I want to hear somebody who say they actually enjoy driving this car. I have to hear. I know it's one person out. Because other than that, I don't see the point in it. I really don't. Shout out to everybody who's rocking with us today. You already know what it is, man. It's the Bearded One. We in the building. It looks like we got a lot of, and we haven't done this in a while, but we have some ride music. If it gets play in the ride, it gets play on Rally Radio, and we haven't played ride music in a minute. And the reason being is because to me, it wasn't nothing really out that was bumping like that. But shout to my guy, Will Sully. I've been listening to a lot of his new music. He got some new music coming out. Nightmare on Bay Street. It's definite. If you listen to any kind of hip hop, you would love this. I'm telling you, I love it personally. But I just want y'all to hear it, and I want y'all to tell me what y'all think. We was rocking today. And let me know in the comments. Do you listen to music in your car? Shout to my guy, Will Sully.
The paintbrush from Da Vinci, vivid scenes. Get a rush like it's cocaine touching my gifted jeans. My drum boxes do more damage than some machine guns. Submarines with WMDs and tons. I got a couple degrees but never leave the slums. School of hard knocks, a couple spelling bees I run. At the COPs, we DMCs and runs. JMJs and WA's kingdom come. A clean record took me further, tell the priests and nuns. Dirty version, had me pissing dirty, Queens I'm from. Bagging up a little weed work, I had green thumbs. Gold fingers when I grip mics and leave no crumbs.
I want y'all to check my man out. His name is Will Sully. The name of the album is called Nightmare on Bay Street. Definitely good. Shout out to my guy Seneca. He said the hot Teslas are the ones that are on fire. That is hilarious. He said the hot Teslas are the ones that's on fire.
They all look the same.
That's the problem. They all look the same. Shout out to my guy Marlon. He said maybe one of those people who sue because of noise would enjoy driving an EV. You know what? Shout out to Marlon. Shout out to Big A. He said EVs are for the conformity crowd. No need for style. And I think that's the big thing too. Shout out Daytona 500 on constant repeat when I'm making moves in the V. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. For those of y'all that don't know what he's talking about, he's talking about that Wu-Tang, that Raekwon, and that Ghostface. I love that joint right there. I gotta say though, in the midst of all of it, I think that's where they're losing a lot of people with this electric vehicle thing is that there's no style to it. They all look the same. You said it yourself. When you went to the car show, it was all ugly.
It wasn't nothing impressive.
Nothing impressive at all. Nothing impressive at all. So you got to say to yourself at this point, what are they really trying to do? I don't know. I know it's going to cost a lot of money for you to have one. I know that for a fact. It's going to cost people a lot of money to have one of them. And it's like, for what? For what? They got so many different things going on. And it looks like when you look at China, when you look at all these other different places that are doing things with EVs, especially with China, they got so many, like what they're doing is they pretty much knocking down the prices of EVs just so that people can have them. I don't know, man. They're not doing that here. Shout to Marlon. He said they all sound the same too. Matter of fact, there could be an EV in here right now. We wouldn't even know it. They all sound. Shout to Seneca. He said that's what you get when you give vanilla people making cars. That's a fact. And now when you think about, like I said, when we talk about the legends of order, that's one of the reasons why it hits to us the way it does. Because at the end of the day, whether it was styling, whether it was heritage, whether it was what the car came with, whether it was the capabilities of the car, what the car had done. Those are the things that we look forward to when it comes to being a legend of auto. And it definitely is not an easy thing because you have some cars that are just regular, they're going to be regular. But then you have that one that you really wanted. Like you said, that GTI. You really wanted that. And that to me is one of the greater things there. But shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. You know how we get down, man. We're gonna move right on to our next segment.
Driver's etiquette. Because sometimes you got to get this off your chest.
Now, driver's etiquette was really created for those who wanted to get something off their chest. If somebody cut you off in while you're driving, if somebody did something to you, just couldn't understand, that was where we left the driver's etiquette. Call up and you get to really voice your opinion. But in the meantime, we get to talk about a lot of different things on that. So with that being said, today's driver's etiquette has more to do with car ownership more than anything else. I tell people all the time, owning a car is more rewarding. I remember when I was a young guy, you know what I mean? Before I started really working, I remember I wanted a car so bad. And the reason I wanted a car is because to me, I was like, yo, I'm tired of walking or whatever have you, right? Like all the guys that I knew, they had cars and they got the girls, they got the, you know how that go. We was, all of us older men was once young men, and all of us older women was once young women, right? But car ownership has really revolutionized to me for a little while. You know what I mean? Like I really do look past the outside of the car. And I say that I really want to thank a lot of the people that I came across in my journey to where I am now. I think about a lot of the people. I may not see them every day, or I haven't seen them in years, but I always want to take that time to thank them because of them, I am where I am with autos, and the knowledge I have of autos is because I spent the time learning about autos, but because of them.
The performance,
interior, exterior. How about the
tires?
The biggest thing I paid attention to out of everything else, engine. I could say right now that I've never fully built an engine with my hands. Never. I've never put pistons in it. But outside of that, I've done everything.
Okay.
Outside of that, I've done everything. But I will say that there's a lot of people that I could definitely give a shout out to that really, really, really helped me move forward as far as autos concerned. Shout to my guy Ace, aka Shy.
All right.
If it wasn't for him coming through with these import tuner magazines, he used to come through it. First, it was he had these magazines, the Lowrider magazine. You remember Lowriders? You know Lowriders? Like, the magazines where they show the cars with all the work, the paint jobs. I remember he used to come through with all of those.
Right.
And when he used to come through, I used to look at him a little bit. It wasn't really my style because to me it was more gaudy and flashy. But I do understand the culture of it now, like what really goes into these projects. And then from there, he started coming through with import tuner magazines. And the import tuner magazine, those is cars that I could afford. Those is cars that I could get my hands on. And I was like, wow, man. So now in my head, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go get me one. You know what I mean? From there, I went and I bought my first car.
What was your first car?
My first car was a 1988 Honda CRX.
Oh, okay.
Shout to that car. I worked real hard for that car. And one of the things was, shout out to my guy Darry, he said, not Dave in the building.
Yeah, Dave's in the building. That's Darian?
Yeah, that's Darry.
Uh-oh.
So
shout out to D Brown, my boy.
Let's go. So in the midst of it, I started to really look at the car. I bought the car, worked hard for the car. I walked to work for a month. I never tell anybody that story. I only tell my kids.
Of course.
Shout out to Jessica Grant. She said, do you still have your first car? I did up until a little while ago. The car met untimely demise that was not by my hands.
So 26 years.
I had it. And you know why? Because I worked hard for it.
And was that a manual?
Yes, it was a manual.
So you learned to drive straight up?
By myself, yeah. I had to, What happens is a lot of times when you want to learn how to drive manual, nobody gonna just give you their car. They don't want you to burn out their clutch, right?
Correct.
So I had to buy the car in order to learn.
Grind it till you find it.
And that's the thing. I always wanted the CRX, but at the end of the day, that was hilarious, by the way. We're gonna put that on the shirt. Grind it till you find it. Pause. We didn't mean.
Uh-oh.
You know how we get down, man.
Yeah,
He said gauze, not brown.
I got it, G.
Shout out to Big A. He said, now you have
I saw that. I thought it was brown, but it's G gauze.
D gauze, man. He said now you have dudes that can't change the tire if their life depended on it. And shout to Ant, because Ant also, all of those guys, all of them has something to do with where I am now. But my CRX, yes, I bought it. I didn't know how to drive it. It took me forever to get it home. How's that?
Pushing.
No. I actually understood the concept.
All right.
But I wasn't good. But I got good. I learned how to drive.
It's a work in progress.
That's a fact.
Everybody.
That's a fact. But I wanted to shout out a lot of those guys, like I said, that I met along the way. There was so many different people at that time. So many different things at that time. At that time, we was introduced to street racing. Right. So
Fountain Avenue.
Oh. The very first one that I remember seeing is Rockaway.
All right.
And the Conduit.
Yeah.
Shout to everybody who can remember that.
Those are some rough nights.
Right. Ended up going to the Burger King one night with my little CRX, and I saw things that would change my life forever.
Classic.
I saw classic cars out there. I saw Hondas out there. I saw Mustangs out there. I saw Volkswagens out there. And everybody's car was nice, slam wheels, everything. And I was just like, damn, like, this looked like where I want to be. So I was just trying to keep up with a lot of the things. But I remember seeing a lot of different things out there when it came to the street racing. I seen Mustangs lose to Hondas. That was something I thought I would never see. I remember the first time I had ever seen it, I seen this red Fox body Mustang. He's doing a burnout. He had just crossed the light and he's doing a burnout. It used to be a gas station right there. So we all standing there and there's a Honda blue. It was a 99 SI at that time. Well, no, it was a 99 SI. And he pulls up to the guy and they start, doing the burnouts, getting ready. And all I'm saying to myself, this Mustang is going to beat the hell out of this Honda. He's going to beat the hell out of this Honda. And let me tell you, this Honda Civic wore him out because the only way we knew who won was whoever put their hazards on first. And you could tell in the distance. And this Honda Civic kicked the hell out of this Mustang. And it said to me then, like, this world is just totally different. But there's so many different things that I had learned. Shout to my guy Rich, aka Filthy Rich, aka Ruthless. Shout to all the Ruthless fans. Because I started to see different styles of cars. It wasn't always Honda. It was Nissan. It was an SR20. It was a Maxima. It was a 2J. It was a Supra. It was like I got a chance to really be introduced to a lot of different styles and things of cars, man. Shout to Dave. You said on Rally Radio. Check us out. You already know what it is. But with that being said, also saw the pitfalls of the car game too. And there's pitfalls to it.
Yeah, people bottoming out, people tearing up the stuff, making that extra move maybe that they shouldn't have made.
Well, I think about it as I've seen the downfalls of not knowing anything. I've seen the downfalls of you not knowing nothing about your car and somebody else does, and they take you to the cleaners. I've seen it. I was even a victim of it at one point, and it had actually brought the car guy out of me. I had a situation where I had my CRX. I had bought a whole JDM front clip, which was the engine, transmission. Well, it didn't have the fenders and everything, but I had the engine, transmission, the subframe, the computer, everything, brakes, everything. I had paid a nice piece of change for this thing, right? $2,000. I bought it from Ron Jaws. I don't know if anybody even remember Ron Jaws, but they was over there by Shea Stadium.
Right.
And you know what Shea Stadium is, where they about to tear all of that down and put houses over there.
It's very little stuff left.
Very little stuff.
But now it's City Field, and right, the whole development,
Right.
the lay of the land, it's set up for construction, and they have a minute small area left for those guys doing cars. And I guess maybe in 3 to 5 years, I think everybody will be gone.
Yeah. All of them buildings
If
will be out of there.
right.
And all of that stuff that is just gonna be wiped out. I went over there and I had bought this engine. I had bought a B16 for my CRX. Oh man. And I remember taking that B16, I had to get it taken from there and dropped off to the mechanic that I was using to get the work done. Took the car over there. I went by the car every day coming back from work. And I would never see the car move. Finally, I seen the car inside the garage. And I'm like, yes, they got to it. I go over there to go check on it. Oh, yo, if I didn't tell you, man, we can do the swap. We can do the work. But we be just gonna have to break your check engine light. I said, what? Like, it was just all kind of weird stuff.
Right.
Ended up taking the car to another mechanic that was up the block who had a car like this.
Okay.
Could do the work. So now I'm kicking out more money, right? I'm kicking out more money. I finally get to a place I think I can get the car done. Nothing's getting done there as well, right? Both of them black owned, man. Both of them black owned. And I ain't dogging black owned business, but I'm going to just tell you sometimes we do business the wrong way, right? So I had the car taken from that second place to a third split. Shout to my guy, Rich. He said, listen, I got some guys that could get this done lickety split. I said, all right. Put the car in the tow truck. Everything that I had on the tow truck, took it over there. The next day, these guys was ready. Their names was Full Throttle. That was definitely a learning experience for me. Full Throttle. These guys got the engine in the car wired up and everything. But so I called them. I said, well, how is it going? They was like, oh, we finished. I said, wow, they finished. I said, y'all finished already? Yeah, we got the engine in the car and everything. They said, there's only one problem. I said, what's the problem? He said, the ECU is missing. So you need the computer to run the car. I said, okay. So I go back to the old spot.
More money.
No, I'm not paying.
Okay.
I call the old spot. I said, listen, these guys are telling me that you're missing the ECU, that you didn't put the ECU in the car. Oh, well, the car touched too many hands. How do we know what happened with the ECU? I said, yeah. So that's the role we going. Black owned business. I said, all right, no doubt. Take off from work. I go up there. When I go up there, now all of a sudden the tone changed. Now it's, we don't come to find out his son ended up stealing my computer. He stole a computer that I bought and put it in his car to make it better. So there was only one way to get that right. So we was like, either we gonna yank it out or you gonna pay for it. So I made him give me $150 more so that I could buy a better computer.
Okay.
So give me the price of the computer and another $150 more. Long story short, I ended up getting another computer for the car, and I'm driving the car. And this was, and shout to Ed, he said it'd be your own people. That's a fact. And meanwhile, Full Throttle, these guys are of Asian descent.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Good dudes. They put the car together, put the engine in the car, cleaned up the wiring, even put back some of the interior panels that these other guys destroyed. Like they moved them off. So now I'm driving. And this had to be one of the greatest feelings ever because I really, really love that car. And I learned a lot. Like I said, I blew that engine. Oh. Not paying attention to the oil.
Okay.
Racing, blew it. Boom, blew the engine. Learned about chasing down parts for it was so much to the car game. And that's one of the reasons I'm talking about it, is because there's so many different things that you learn along the way in your journey, regardless of whatever you're doing.
Shout out to Kev Parker.
So many different things that you learn. And I would say that I learned at the end of the day, the best way you could prepare yourself for any adventure is to be educated on it.
That's correct.
I learned that the best thing you could do sometime is be educated and prepared and know exactly what you want to do. Fast forward. Shout out to my guy Kev Parker. He's in the building. Let's go, Parker. What it is. So with that being said, it's one of those things where I had actually prepared myself from here on out. I actually learned a lot more. I was able to pick up a wrench and do these things myself after a while. And that's why I got to shout out a lot of the people that I met, because of them, I am now here doing a show about something that I have knowledge of. And I don't just have knowledge because, oh, you know what, I read a couple magazines. Nah, I done put these knuckles in. I done beat them all up, man. Trust me. I done had the cold days, replacing the engine, replacing the clutch, replacing the transmission. You name it. You
come
name
full circle.
Yes. So that's what this show represents for me. You know, so this is more than just, you know, us being here every Saturday because, we want to, be famous or something like that. If this is as far as it ever went for me, then this is great. But at the end of the day, it just really reiterates to me like how far I've come with this game here.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
Well, I guess it's part of sharing the knowledge and the journey that you've been on.
Well, you're right. And the thing is, when you look at a lot of different parts of the game, there's so many different things I saw, from street racing to legal racing to the engine building, to getting the engine, to getting the parts, to ordering the parts, to fixing it yourself, to do, you name it. I've seen it all, man. We've seen it all. You know what I mean? And now I look at that compared to where we are now and where I am now as a person myself. Like now I own a Typo. I remember a Typo was a dream. Like, I own one now. And now I got a CRX that I can now build again, because this is, for those that don't know, my original CRX, like I said earlier, it met a demise not by my hand.
Okay.
So my thing was, you know what? I got to finish it. Because I had so many parts at that time. Now the car is gone. I just got all the parts. And I said, you know what? I'm going to finish it.
So question, where did you, you said the car met its untimely demise. Mm-hmm. So it's now in car heaven. Like, what did you do with the car?
Oh, all right. So, you know how we talk about black-owned business?
Yeah.
We could also talk about black families sometimes. Okay. Sometimes your family could do you dirty. But to make a long story short, it was pretty much given away to like it was a place where I was staying. I had the car there. Okay. I was in the midst of buying a home. And in the midst of me buying a home, you know how that go. You and your family may not get along with it, but it's one thing you don't do. You don't do that. You don't be like, you know what? Oh, I'm gonna just have somebody come get this thing. Like, and so they did it before I could get wind of it, or they didn't tell me rather. Okay. So I found out the day it was gone.
So did they junk it or?
They junked it. So here's the thing. They didn't junk it. You could say that. They junked it, but they gave it away without a title. Like, had somebody, you know how you have those 1877 cars for kids?
Right. They donated it without the title.
They donated. And when they donated it, I had about $3,500 to $4,000 in parts in the trunk. And when I say parts, I mean rare things that one of the reasons, like, I spent the last 5 years chasing some of them parts back down.
So your intentions was to try to resurrect the vehicle.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was actually on stands. I had taken the engine out. I had replaced the engine, replaced the transmission. It was already work that was being done.
Right.
So they took it out of there, and I think the more hurtful part about it is he didn't want to tell me where it was at. And I was just like, these are people that did you consider fam? Like, and they know I love you. Whoever knows me knows that I love that car.
That was your ride or die.
That was my ride or die. I still got the title and the keys. But it's okay. So I said, you know what? Those are the kind of things, like I said, life lessons.
Yes.
You learn. You learn later on. Like, people will tell you all day till they blue in the face that, they have your best interests at heart. But sometimes that's just not the case. Sometimes some people just do things to you just because they feel like they can. And if I had to let it consume me, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. I'd have lost it. I was ready to lose the cookies. That's it. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I had to let it go. I had to come to grips that that's just not what it is. So what did I do? I got up. I dusted myself off. I found another one. I had to go buy another one. And even that one is the connection is not the same.
Right.
Because this one I had since I was a 19-year-old kid.
Right.
So it was like on top of doing and building, had so many different other things going on with the car. You know what I mean? Shout to my guy, Ant. He said, "You're a better man than me. I just be getting out."
Well, hopefully you don't catch no time in case the 49ers meet an unfortunate demise today.
Oh,
But let's go Niners.
They play today?
Yeah, I believe so.
No, I think they play tomorrow.
Okay, I could be wrong.
But I will say I learned, this is what I mean. Like I learned a lot. And if there's one thing I would say for anybody who owns any kind of auto, do yourself a favor and put your stuff where you have full control. Because when you don't have full control, you don't have access, people just feel like they could do any and everything.
Yeah.
Whatever. Shout out to the Facebook. You said everything happens for a reason. Sometimes must come to an end to start a new beginning. That's true. I will say this. The body had got rugged on the car. And you can't just have it. Like I said, past experiences has told me that you just can't have everybody touching your car.
That's correct. So like the body,
yes,
it started deteriorating like on the bottom.
Yes.
I had that with my GTI.
Right. towards the wheel well.
And I got it repaired. I was like, yeah.
So you just can't have everybody working on your car. And I had so many different parts for even now that I still have that are just rare, especially now that the older the car gets, the more cleaner specimens you don't see.
Right.
This one I went to buy from North Carolina, clean.
Yeah.
Clean, 1988, clean. High mileage though. And not that it matters. Everybody knows.
But country miles is different, right?
But I will say, again, I had to chase down some more of those rare parts, but I do have them now.
Okay.
I do have them. And a lot of those things that I was missing, outside of one or two things here and there, I do have. But this is what, and this is funny. I know everybody's like, yo, build the CRX, build the. I'm like, I don't want to stop when I start. I'm one of them kind of workers.
Yeah, gotcha.
I don't want to get knee deep into and then be like, yo, and I know there's things that I still need. I don't want this thing in my driveway on stilts waiting for me I want to have everything in my hand. And I know everybody's like, shout to Ann. He said Packers versus Niners tonight at 8:15. I believe the Texans are playing at 4:15. Right?
Yes, that's correct. I know the Texans, right. And like not for nothing. Mm-hmm. I'm a season ticket holder with the Knicks. Mm-hmm. So, and it's a funny type of situation. Shout out to my boy Dwayne Screen, me and Screen. Mm-hmm. We have a package. So with the package, we bid on the games. Also, a couple other guys also. Mm-hmm. What's my man name? Steele also. Mm-hmm. We got a package. So we get tokens and you bid on the games.
Okay.
So when one game after you visit one game, your token becomes available to go to the next game. So the last game we went to was Wednesday night when they played the Rockets. So the next day was Washington, which was sort of a weak team. Like, all right, we're going to skip that. So then we came up to looking at Toronto. And like the area, it wasn't available for that game. So I was at the crossroads with, do I want to be at the game? Because, quickly and
just traded.
Quickly and them are coming back tonight. Mm-hmm. So it was like, oh, it's the playoffs. I'd rather be home with the remote flicking back and forth watching the games instead of being at a game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Definitely
we let that game go because we need to be at. I need to be watching that NFL. I need to watch that.
See,
so
I say this and shout to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. If it's one thing that I have different from a lot of car guys, I love sports too.
Right.
Because a lot of times, a lot of car guys are like, man, I don't care about no sports.
Well, I think the car is part of sport.
Oh, of course, motorsport. We got a caller. Rally Radio, who we got in the box?
Well, I think.
Yo.
Good afternoon, my brothers. Good afternoon.
Shout out to my guy. Who's this? Green?
That's Green, correct.
Yes, sir.
Let me know if y'all can hear the caller, y'all. Can y'all hear the caller?
Yes, sir. Yo, you I gotta hit this up. First of all, shout out to my brother. He passed away 3 years ago from cancer. But it brought back memories when you told me about that car situation. Somebody gave away your car.
Yeah.
I grew up in Long Island. I'm gonna try to make this as short as possible. I grew up in Long Island, in Roosevelt, small town called Roosevelt.
Mm-hmm.
My father had a very, very old-fashioned, nice car.
Yes.
This white guy, used to come by and knock on the door and ask my dad. He says, "Hey, do you want to sell that car?"
Wow.
And my father used to tell the guy, "No, the car is not for sale."
Right.
The guy come by at least 2 times a year with a tow truck and ask my dad. My dad said the car's not for sale because it still ran. We used to ride around the block in it from time to time when my father drove it around.
Right.
So my father and my mother went away. Guy came and knocked on the door, and my brother answered the phone. And he told my brother, he says, your dad was interested in selling me the car. Is he home? My brother said, no, he's not home. He said, well, can I take the car? And if your father don't want to sell it, here's a card. Here's my card. I'm going to write my other number on there. You call, and I'll bring the car back. And my brother said, okay.
Oh,
Father, he gave my father car away, but it gets better.
Oh, my God.
Father has an identical name. My brother and my father has the same name. My brother went upstairs in the dresser drawer and gave the man the title to the car. And he signed it. When my other brother, Stephen, came home, he said, where's Dad's car? I said, Kenny gave it away. And my brother said, I'm leaving. I'll see y'all later. I do not want to be home when he gets home from this trip. My dad is a big country boy from the South, from South Carolina. His hands was like bear claws. His feet was large. They used to have to take my dad to the store and get his shoes double E and triple E. That's how big my father was. So my father pulled up in the driveway and he's constantly blowing the horn and he's yelling, where's my car? My mom came in the house and she said, please tell me, y'all, where's your dad's car at? Right?
Oh, my
And I told my mom, I said, my brother, I said, Kenny gave it away, Mom. And my father came in the house and he looked at my brother and he said, why, son? He said, what did I ever do to you so wrong? He said, why, son? Why would you? He said, Dad, the man said, I'm going to give you the card. He said, here's the card. He'll bring the car back if you don't want to sell it. He said, that don't make no sense. They called both numbers on that card and the numbers was disconnected. They called the police and the police told my father, there's nothing you can do about it, sir. He says, because y'all gave him the title and your son signed it.
Yo.
I got a question.
My God.
Question. Where's your brother today and how is he doing?
He passed away. But
that's what
we always
2 years ago.
Looked at him and was like, yo, my dad used to always tell him, if anything or something, do not sign my name to nothing. Do not do anything. But my brother had a habit. Anytime somebody came, my brother, you come to the door right now and say, where your father at? My brother like, oh, he right here.
Oh, no.
And he gave away my dad's classic car.
Oh.
And my dad, he sat there. He said, son, I ain't never did nothing to you. He said, why would you do that? Why?
Like
Why?
What do you have to? Yo, I can't
I'm
believe.
sorry.
It.
I was just trying to get to the recourse. Like, did your dad put hands on him?
Nah, my dad was too big. He didn't want to. And my
Because
mom
he knew he hurt
stood
him.
in front. My mom stood in front of my mom stood in front of my brother and said, "Please don't hit my son." He said, "Please." My mom was standing in front of him and she said, "Remember your pressure and please don't hit my son."
Yo,
my father was ready to unload in my brother's ass, and my father, he had so much pain on him right there. You could see it in his face.
He was hurt.
He was like, "Anthony, go upstairs." And from the sound of his tune, he said, "Anthony, I think his voice moved me upstairs on his own because I just stood there at the top of the stairs and listened, and my mom was standing in between the two of them, and she pleaded for him. She said, "If you hit him, you're gonna hurt him real bad." He said, "He hurt me real bad." I was like, wow.
That is yo. You know what's crazy about that? You know what's crazy about that? Imagine like they call the numbers and all you hear is woo woo woo. The number you have reached.
My mom.
Oh my God.
My mom called those numbers on that card. Even when the 7 looked like a 1, my mom redialed those numbers and everything, and that dude never came back in the neighborhood ever again.
Question though, Ant, do you recall what kind of car was the classic that he gave?
I can't remember. It was like one of them old. It was a sky blue car, and it was very old and very classic.
I could only think of one. You know, when you say that,
Skylark.
No, not a Buick. I'm thinking either a 63, 64 Chevy Impala. A lot of them came blue, old school car, fins.
Right.
I would like to believe this is like a 60 or a 70. This is like
it was a late model. I gotta ask my mom what kind of car that was.
Your father,
because she would probably still remember it because I remember it was sky blue and it was a very nice car. And every time we got in the car, people used to honk the horn and say to my father, "It's a nice car" and everything. But and it was still running in the whole 9. And my brother, he gave him the keys to the car and the title, and he signed the title.
Oh, I can hear your father now. He was
exactly.
He was mad. Exactly. I'm sorry. I know he was. Yo,
I mean, like my father and my father just said, "Why, son?" He said, "What did I ever do to you to make you want to do this to your father?" He said, "Why, son? Why?" He said, "Every time I told you somebody come here, no." He says, "It don't make sense. Why would he bring the car back if I don't want it?" He said, "Did he even give you money or nothing?" He said, "No, Dad. He just gave me this card
for free."
And he said, and he wrote his other number on there too. If you not this number right, he said, "Call me at that number." Both numbers was disconnected.
Woo, woo, woo. The number you have reached.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
It was bad. And when the cops came, the cops said there's nothing, they can't even write it as a stolen car. They said, because technically you gave him the title.
Oh my God. No.
So
I'd have went hunting for that man.
It didn't even matter. My dad was so heartbroken over it. And to this day, we laugh and joke about what happened. And we was like, "Yo, Mom, remember my mother said I had to plead for your brother's life." She said, "Because I knew what your father was going to destroy him in the house."
Yeah.
This is the one time I didn't get it. My father was angry and I did not get in trouble.
And you didn't do nothing.
I didn't do nothing.
Yo, you know
this is the one time my dad was angry and my name wasn't even mentioned.
Yo, shout to your pops, because that has to be the ultimate self-control I've ever seen. Shout to your pops, because not too many car guys can take.
The horn blowing in front of the house. My father didn't even want to get out of the car. He was just blowing the horn, and he was just upset.
Yo,
that car was missing. He was like, "Where is my car?" Just like gave it away.
Oh my God. Yo, could you Ooh. Pop
I got a question to ask you though.
What's up?
Being that what's going on with Tesla right now and these cars being out here in this cold weather and everything else.
Yes.
Do you think, even though that they're trying and it's not all states have adopted the time frame of it?
Yes.
So do you think that this country would ever go another direction besides the electrical cars and stay with the gas cars?
No.
Because eventually something is going to have to give.
You know what? So here's my honest
Because
opinion.
we have less charging stations.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Tesla was trying to make a deal with, or somebody was trying to make a deal with Target to put up charging stations. And you do know the Apple car is coming soon also.
Yeah. And
because
the
Apple
has
car, teamed up with Kia or somebody. They teamed up with somebody else to help put their car in a production line.
Well, it was Honda, but then they started lollygagging and Sony jumped on it. So, and now you have a Honda that has nothing but Sony. If it just recently they drove a Honda, the new Honda that they coming out with.
Right.
I forget the name. I can tell everybody, but they brought it out with a PS5 controller. Scary.
So what is it that we looking at 10 to 15 years? With
so
out
from
of the gas?
20, they talking about 2035. It is now 2024. Another 11 years.
Another 11 years.
They're gonna outlaw the sale of new gas powered cars. So here's the thing. This is what I think, Green. They're gonna turn this into a class warfare thing. I believe that what it's gonna turn into is they're gonna go electric, and they're gonna have people who have gas. They're gonna have, I believe, like these congressmen, presidents, things like that. Rich people are still gonna have access to gas powered cars because they're not gonna be sitting at no charging station. But I also believe that they're gonna have EVs. However, cars will not be for the middle class nor poor. You have to be rich. It's gonna be one of those things. You have to be rich.
What about now? You know, I said earlier about the portable charging stations, but do you think, and it probably is a cost-effective thing, that they will somehow be able to have charging stations at your house?
Yeah, you can have a charge station at your house right now. You can have a charge at your house.
Yeah,
but what if you live in the project?
You can have a charging station. Well, in the state of Georgia, because my son he has a Tesla.
Mm-hmm. Tremendous. Does
Georgia,
he enjoy
what
it?
They do is it's the thing costs $300, but the state of Georgia will give you a rebate towards having that thing installed and everything else. Because what happened is it's not one of them chargers you can just plug up or anything like that. It has to be professionally installed.
Right.
That charger has to be for the Tesla. It has to be professionally installed. And Georgia is giving, I think it's $250 or $300 or whatever it is, a rebate towards it. So my son is in the process of having that plugged in too. So when you go home, it's just like it'll be a normal, like you charge up your cell phone, you charge up your car.
So
but the thing is, like what Cecil, what Post was saying, imagine traveling and you going down somewhere and you got to go on these off roads. And some of these roads, I've traveled to these off roads when I'm going south, and I travel on a regular. Some of these off roads, Dave, you will go 30 miles without seeing a gas station in a street light.
Yeah.
Are you willing to take that vehicle 30 miles, even on a half a charge, not knowing? Because I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to spit the truth today anyway. Some of these places in South Carolina and them backwoods back there, my aunt is 109 years old, my great aunt, and she tell us when we there, y'all leave before
sundown.
Y'all leave before it gets dark. She says we can be there by 3 o'clock. She want us going and on the road to go back through them woods in that wooded area and go back because there's a lot of clans still back there.
Woo.
There's a lot of clans still back there.
I was just in
imagine
South Carolina
you going
in
30
December.
and 40 miles and you don't have a charging station. Because when I was going through there, when I'm coming through is I think it's 20 or something. It's not I-20. It's one of them back roads back there where you got to cut through from South Carolina Barnwell to come back to Augusta.
Right.
And that road back there that you're going, I think it's 1. I think that's what it's Interstate 1 or something back there. When you're cutting back through that straightway, you see nothing back there. I mean, there's nothing but two-way traffic. One-way traffic is going one way, and the other way, the traffic is going that way. If I want to go around you, I got to go around you, and I got to make sure that the road is clear on the other side because you're going into ongoing traffic. So would you willing to travel 30, 40, 50 miles back there on them back roads?
No, I would not. Shout to my guy, Corey. He's in the building. He said electric car drivers are risk takers anyway.
That is true. That is true because Even though I believe
I
electrical
see
car
that.
is good for the city. If you want to be in the city life and you just want to travel around in the city,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yes.
But if you want to get on that interstate and you going anywhere,
Nah,
you need to juice that car up at all times.
So here's the thing about, like, my thing when it comes down to electric vehicles in general. I believe they just want to get to a point where, and they could do it with gas powered cars too as well. It's just that it could be overrode. Like, you could figure out a way to override your computer system and just run on an engine if need be, if you had to. Which is why they're getting rid of a lot of those devices as well. A lot of devices that can take away your check engine light and stuff. They're getting rid of all of that. They don't want none of that stuff. I will say one of the reasons I'm against them is because they're forcing you. Gotta be careful of that.
That's
Whenever
the
they
same
say,
thing
"Oh,
do.
you have to,"
Right. That's the same thing they do with the solar energy.
right? They want to
Sorta-
force you.
They sort of pushing the
Well,
envelope.
you know why? Shout out to Jessica Grandy. She said, "Won't that cripple the economy even more by not using gas?" So here's the thing: they're gonna make that money back some way, somehow, and a lot of that money that they're gonna make back is a EV tax. They're gonna do all kind of different things. They're gonna charge you EV tax. Your registration is gonna be every year, and it's gonna cost more because you're not spending on the road. You're using the road without paying all the other tax that other cars pay, like gas tax and stuff like that. You're not paying for that. So now they're like, you're going to pay another way. And another thing about it,
It'll be electric tax, though, right?
well, look, if you think that they won't add that to your electric bill, if you see, this is the thing. This is how we always get caught out there. We always for the next thing, but we really don't read between the lines and actually see what's going on. When you look at electric vehicles and just like you said, being in the South in general, there's some places where it's like you said, if you could go from this distance to this distance without a charge, you don't think they're gonna make money on the towing companies too? Everybody is out for you.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Everybody is out for you. Shout to Seneca. He said they don't even have cell phone service everywhere in the South, certain parts of the South. That's a fact. And it's like, do you really want to take that chance? I'm good.
I don't think it's that bad, but
but you know what? You know what the difference is?
That and make it so bad is it's not like pulling over getting gas either.
Right. And that's the thing.
Imagine you going to the gas station at nighttime, you looking around and you say, you know what, I'm gonna gas up real quick and keep going. With an electric car, you ain't gassing up nothing real quick and keep going.
You are sitting duck.
You're gonna sit there.
Yes, you said that.
You're gonna sit there in that area. And then what happens when the gas station is closed? You still can charge up over there, right?
Right.
So you're gonna sit up there in that area for 30 minutes and better until you get a complete charge on that car. Because I know you're not gonna go with a half a charge and then try to get back on that road again to look for another gas station.
No.
To my understanding, Tesla do have the technology in the car to let you know where the closest one is at.
They adding that with Google Maps and everything.
Worth when you're on the road traveling like that? Like, let's imagine if you're going from South Carolina to New York, and then you pull off on the side of the road. You're somewhere on the 95 because you're trying to gas up.
Right.
But imagine now you're on these back interstates and these back roads back there, and you're traveling. What happens then when you're off your regular route, and then you're trying to fuel up? Because with me, I already looked at it. When I'm driving south, I say, you know what, I don't go past a half a tank or nowhere near it, because I always make sure I gas up to keep going. I don't really have to gas up that much when I'm going down south anyway, on a straight run. But at the same time, though, my time at the gas station is no more. It's 10 minutes or less.
And you know
gas, bathroom, and maybe grab something to eat and back in the car and keep going.
That's right. And this is why I say hybrid technology is better than fully electric.
Yes.
Because if you really want, if we talking about saving this and that, listen, the most dangerous time a car is puts out the most pollution when it's what? When it's idling. So this is why hybrid, it doesn't idle. It shuts off, it's sitting at the light, it's running on the battery till you get about 10 miles an hour. Then the engine kicks in. But let's say that battery dies, you have an engine. Let's say you run out of gas, you got a battery. You really not in a jam there. And that's, to me, that's as furthest as we need to go. But when we talking a fully electric car, and then it has issues too. We talking about a car that won't charge in the cold, won't charge in the heat. You don't want to charge it during a flood. You don't want to charge in certain spotty areas. You don't. Come on, this is dangerous.
I'll give you a better one. How many places is equipped to fix an electric car? If your car break down right now, I got a gas car. My car break down right now. I got a good 80% chance of a mechanic can fix my car the next day if I get it to a shop.
Facts.
In them areas. I got an 80% chance.
Facts.
On a Saturday or Sunday to get a mechanic to fix my car. What's the highest chance of you getting a Tesla and you pulling up in a tow truck about, can you fix that? What you think that mechanic, he's a grease monkey. What you think he gonna tell you?
They're gonna say, and our sir, I'll take it to the Tesla dealer. They're not there today though. They'll be there on Monday morning. I'll take it down there. Yeah, that's what you're gonna hear. To the dealer. That's what you're gonna hear. Green, if they only knew, man. If they only
and that's
knew.
Only if you near a Tesla dealer. You can break down somewhere, and you got to say, where's the closest Tesla dealer in South Carolina where I'm at? That's a fact.
That's a fact. This is why I say
who fixed electric cars besides Tesla, besides their own people?
Well, did you know that they had a high school, they was actually teaching high school students how to fix them, and then they stopped that program.
Wow. Tesla
said no. That, like, you know, they have regular shop programs. We're gonna bring an electric car in today. Right. Tesla was like, no, they don't want nobody, you know, and now they've gotten to the point where if you can get into these cars, they want to charge you in for like piracy because you're stealing programs or whatever.
Right.
It's ridiculous how they getting into it. Trust me. There's a whole much more. Yo, Green, we gonna get up out of here. We gonna roll at the same time. though. I appreciate you for tuning in.
Yo, Ant, good talking to you, Ant. We will see you on Friday.
Yes, sir. Yo, Ant, is your 49ers gonna do it?
Hey, Dave, they gonna do it tonight. Dave, you know I'm gonna be calling your phone, brother. I don't know where you gonna be at, Dave.
Yo,
I will talk to you on Monday, but I will see you on Friday.
That's a fact. They doing it too. I gotta
talk
pick
to y'all
you.
brothers later, man.
Yo, Green, thanks for tuning in, my brother. Appreciate you.
Always, brothers. Be good, man.
Look, all right, peace. Later. I will say this. We about to wrap it up. We about to get up out of here.
Oh, well, I want to thank you for letting me sit in for Shawn. I appreciate it. Thank you. This was great.
Shout to Dave. Shout to Dave.
And anybody listening, please check us out. First stop, the next stop on Mondays, 4:30, 6:30.
Let's go. Let's go. With that being said, we have reached our favorite segment. And even though SI's not here, I'll take over for this time. So be prepared. You already know what it is. Here we go.
Legends of Auto. Real legends never die.
So with that being said, first of all, shout to the face. He said because they don't want anyone but them authorized to fix their cars. If those kids learn how to fix the Teslas or other EVs, they will lose money. That's a fact. That's a fact. Shout to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. This is our Legend of Auto. Today, we will be talking about the 1970 Plymouth Superbird. Now, the 1970 Plymouth Superbird is a highly modified, short-lived version of the Plymouth Roadrunner with applied graphic images as well as a distinctive horn sound referencing the popular Looney Tunes character, the Roadrunner. Like beep, 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 you know, like beep, beep. So the Plymouth Superbird was actually a car, and we talk about these kind of cars all the time, a homologation car. What happened was the Plymouth Superbird was actually ran in NASCAR. Now, the difference with this car was that they was using downforce at that time. So it had a big wing on the back. Now, in order for them to race it, they had to come out with some and sell some. So that's exactly what they did. Now, this car, which is crazy, by the way, 426 Hemi V8, 440 Super Commando V8, or it had a 440 Super Commando 6-barrel V8, 4-speed manual or 3-speed automatic torque flip. They had shout to Shy. He said they had to pay WB for the right to use the beep beep horn. In other words, they had to pay Warner Brothers to use that horn. That is actually, to me, this is what makes this car a legend. Reason being is because I don't think I've ever seen one in real life. I've never seen one in real life. I've only seen them in cars. I can't say that I've been to enough automotive museums that I can say I've seen one. But the impact of it. In autumn of 1968, Richard Petty left the Plymouth NASCAR racing team for Fords. And when he left, it was one of those things that they said, it was a game changer for them. But they ended up winning a lot of races with that car. The Superbird decals were placed on the outside edges of the spoiler vertical struts, featuring a picture of the Roadrunner cartoon character holding a race helmet. A smaller version of the decal appeals in the driver's side headlight door, and the Superbird had 3 engine options. We talked about those. On the street, the nose cone and wing were very distinctive, but the aerodynamic improvements hardly made a difference to there or on the drag strip. In fact, the 1970 Roadrunner was actually quicker in the quarter mile in standard acceleration tests due to the increased downforce produced by the Superbird's nose and wing. Only at speed in excess of 60 miles an hour did the modifications begin to show any benefit. That is crazy. But now with the production numbers, Chrysler memos of September 1969 showed that the sales program and staff were prepared to handle 1,920 wing Plymouths in 1970, but published figures say as many as 2,783 were ever built. The current figure generally accepted is 1,935 Superbirds built and shipped to United States dealers. So it is they're saying pretty much it is only 1,935 that they were prepared for, but it looks like there was only 1,000 Plymouth Superbirds that only exist today. That makes it a legend.
Legends of Auto. Real legends never die.
Shout to the Facebook user. He said, I only seen it. That's got to be Sly Fox, I think. He said, I've only seen them on Meekum Auto Auction. Yeah, I've never seen one in real life. I've never, ever seen one in real life. That is a classic car, just to say it. Richard Petty had a Roadrunner Superbird, was on display at the Richard Petty Museum. But
okay,
definitely an interesting car. So with that being said, man, I want to shout to everybody who tuned in, paid attention, who rocked with me. Shout to my guy Dave. He came in, he saved the day. And don't forget, shout out your show, man. Let them know where they can find you.
Again, Mondays, first stop to the next stop here on Bars and Hoops, Facebook and YouTube. Super Dave and Company, Coach Kurt, Todd the Magnificent, and Serge the Sports Star. All sports, all the time. Mondays, 4:30 to 6:30.
Let's go. Let's go. Shout to everybody who rocked with us thus far, man. I appreciate everybody who tuned in, who rocked with us for the whole 2 hours, man. Let me shout out a couple names. Shout to my guy Seneca. He tuned in. Let's go. Shout to Ace. Shout to Anthony Green, my guy. Green. Shout to Corey. Shout to Jessica Grandy.
D. Gores, Coach Kurt.
Let's go. Shout to Marlon. Shout to Parker. Shout to Sean Parker and Kev Parker. KP. Had some people tuned in today. Shout to everybody who tuned in, man. Shout to the
Steve Sales.
Until next week, great show as usual. Thank you, Sly Fox in the building. We appreciate everybody who tuned in. Like I said, a special shout out to my guy Dave for tuning in. And until next week, if you ain't got no more shout outs,
peace.
You ain't got no more shout outs? I ain't got no more shout outs.
Man, we good. We here.
Until next week, we are out.
Rally Radio, where the fast life meets the fast lane.
Yeah.
You're now tuned into Bars and Hoops Radio.
Yeah.
Where the world of hip hop and sports live.
Dropping the clutch and then I hit the gas. Wheels screeching, tires burning, I'm flying past. Gotta get home quick, don't wanna miss the class. They schooling you on whips and how to make them fast. Talking about everything from cars to plane. What's hot, what's next, and how to flip the game. They talk in my language, we speak the same. That whip talk complex, but yet they keep it plain. From the news, the interviews, they keep it cool. They give reviews, everything from parts to tunes. Can't lose, come to whips, they not no fools. Don't miss the show, the start time is noon. The bearded one, S.I Shawn, they crazy though. You can't miss it, tune in to Rally Radio.
Where the fast life meets the fast lane.